I have two different types of comedy that I do, and it's more geared towards like corporate.
I look like if Ellen DeGeneres finally got some.
If you guys have any new jokes to work on, just throw it out there and then we can just help each other. What I really want to do is to create together and then show how it comes together, the process of it. A lot of people don't understand that we start with like these little pieces of something and then we collaborate with the people that we know understand this world, and then we come up with this joke at the end that's, is great.
I have 2 kids. Yeah. I know that when you have more than one child, they don't like to share. So I planned it perfectly, and I made sure to get each of them their own dads.
People don't understand the work that goes into it. I don't think people understand how personal jokes are. You can't just give me an idea for a joke. It has to be my idea. If it's your idea, that's your joke. It's not mine. It's not going to be funny if that's not my perspective.
Everyone says, like 40's a new 30. It's okay. It's cool. 40's a new 30. Yeah, great. That's wonderful. Except my ovaries did not get the memo. No, I'm trying to tell myself I have farm fresh Whole Foods eggs, but really, they're just expired 5 years ago at Food for Less.
Christie, have you been doing any stand-up?
I did a pretty big show for Lisa at the Laugh Factory.
Oh, really?
Really fun. After that, I did the Comedy Store, which was a total fail. So I went from like I felt like was my greatest accomplishment to like the worst I've ever done.
Comedy Store can be tough. Was it a pretty packed show?
Yeah, it was just a weird audience. The whole thing was weird. I was weird. I'm working on a new joke. It's something along the lines of the coronavirus. Never before has a parent been the way that we are now. My daughter was coughing and I was like, "Are you coughing?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Well, are you coughing because you don't feel good or are you coughing because you're choking?" And she was like, "Because I'm choking." And I was like, "Oh, thank God." That's something new that I'm working on.
If you don't mind a pitch.
Yeah, please.
Your 3 could be, she was coughing, and you're like, "Are you sick or are you choking?" "I'm choking." "Oh, thank God." And then the second could be like, "I had to give her the Heimlich, but I didn't because 6 feet. But I'm like, I'm not going to the hospital. I'm going to definitely get it there." Or
Yeah.
It might be an interesting thing to bring up some of those old jokes about OCD and counting and stuff. Like what it's like being someone with OCD when now germs are such a factor.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't seem so crazy now, do I?
Okay, counting jokes. And OCD.
I think you can definitely connect that in with this.
What about you, Alice? Do you have anything?
I do. I have, and I don't know if this is too hacky because it's a quarantine joke, but whatever. I have this roommate who's like always around and I can't get away because it's a quarantine. In all fairness, it's my husband. There's, in sickness and health, nowhere in the vows where they're like, "I will stay by you during a pandemic when we're quarantined in a 1-bedroom apartment." Pandemic was not a part of the vows. They should have been the vows. I think if you get married now, you should just pencil that one in if it's not already in there. Quarantine during a pandemic in a 1-bedroom apartment. The other night, he just so innocently said to me, "I'm going to make us dinner." And I was like, can we do anything alone? Like, do we have to do everything together? I mean, the dinner was good, but I didn't. But like, I would prefer to eat it alone.
Funny.
I sent him out for toilet paper this morning. I was like, "Go get toilet paper. Don't come back till you have it." Like, you might have to go to Bakersfield or something to get it. I hear they have it there. All right, so that's my quarantine joke.
I will say your first joke I've heard before, but not the stuff about the vows and not the stuff about sending him for toilet paper. I'm not trying to burst your bubble, but the other stuff.
No. I'm glad to hear that. I don't want to be.
But what you can do, rather than saying it's my husband, you can say, "What's the difference? We've been quarantined for however many years you've been married."
Oh, that's good. 5.5 years.
Yeah, we've been quarantined for 5.5 years.
Yeah.
Not new to us. We've been quarantined for 5.5 years.
Oh, yeah.
You're kind of like bitter. You've been over this for a long time. Not that you are, but
So the misdirect is, I've been quarantined for a while. I mean, technically 5.5 years because that's how long I've been married. Oh, maybe
that's funny. I love that. That's a good rewrite.
There we go. Thank you.
Or you can even give the date. You can be like, "I've been quarantined since March 27th, 2007. Somehow make it known as your wedding day.
Yes. I like specifics like that. Okay.
Yeah, I love that.
So I did have one other I'm kind of working on.
Okay, go ahead.
You can get the HPV vaccine now. I have an issue with it. I just think it's unfair. I never got that vaccine. These kids just get to walk around, not worry about getting cervical cancer when they're older, just having sex. That's not fair. They're never going to know. They're never going to
learn. They're not going to learn their lesson.
They're never going to learn. Kids are getting vaccinated against chickenpox. They're never going to know the struggle. They will never know what it's like to have to take a bath in oatmeal like we did. We had to learn. I mean, I grew up in the 80s, so we had our own version of the chickenpox vaccine. It was whichever sibling got chickenpox first,
stand next to them.
Just exposed it to the other kid. It was the complete opposite of the CDC guidelines now for coronavirus. So it's the opposite of 6 feet. I was the first to get it. My mom just put me in a room with my sister and just said, breathe on her until she itches, and then you're good. And that's how I vaccinated my sister.
I like that. You can start it off with kids these days. They don't have to put in the work. They just get the easy way out. You know?
Like with a vaccine.
We're always bailing our kids out, right?
Yeah.
And there's something there too about like being in the room with your sister, she gets chickenpox, but you can't be in the room with your husband while he's cooking.
Yeah, that's good.
A little callback to, you know.
Yeah.
All right. I like that, Alice. Do you feel like you got something out of that?
Yeah. No, that was helpful.
Right? Some pros and cons of being in quarantine.
I like that. All right. Bye.